Hey.
Hi.
It's Tash and Carly.
And you're listening to Motherhood.
Not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea.
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing.
Hello, you guys. What's wrong with me? Hi, that was
Very, very jolly.
I'm very jolly today.
You're so jolly. I'm jolly too.
Yeah, but I feel like it's extra nice for me because I feel like I've been miserable.
Guys, Carly is now positive again.
Hey!
She's back, baby. We're back. Anyway, guys, before we delve into this week's episode, as always, please make sure that if you're not subscribed to our Patreon channel,
You're not going to want to miss it. And also, we're not here on this usual thing. I can't speak.
What? Sorry.
We're not doing these normal episodes for the whole month of August because of mum life and difficulties getting the time to do that. But we are going to be over on Patreon. So if you want your fix of us over the summer, go sign up. You can even just sign up for August and then come off it. But you're probably not going to want to because
You're not going to want to come off. We've also got a live Zoom on the 16th of July for all members. So yeah, there are going to be no episodes in August. So that is your warning. And also, as always, please leave your reviews on Apple, subscribe on YouTube, follow us, share on Instagram. It means the world. We are reaching so many more people than we thought we ever would. And it's so nice.
wild.
Yeah.
We get notifications of Patreon sign-ups and Tash messaged me the other night. She's like, Patreon's going off.
It really is going
off.
But it's,
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, we do. So anyway, let's have a quick update. We didn't film last week because Carly was on her holiday. So why don't you let us know how that was?
So, second holiday with the two on my own since becoming a single mum. And it was so much easier than last year. So like we said, it's like another year on. The kids are another year older. I feel like they've got my back more. Like they kind of get things now. Don't get me wrong. The travelling part with two kids on your own is always going to be difficult. But they were so cooperative. And also I really thanked my organised second mum self. Getting through the airport's the hardest bit, but I gave the kids little jobs like, can you look out for gate, blah, blah, blah. You're looking for these numbers. They were brilliant. Just giving them little things to do. And I mean, the hardest bit is getting on the plane. So I had my backpack. I had the pram that I had to give them at the gate, which is really annoying because it does go in the overhead lockers. And then, so I went on about this boots hack. Order your boots stuff to the gate after security, so you don't have to waste your room in your bag, filling it up with this shit, right? So I'd ordered all the sun cream, all the nappies, all the toiletries. So I'm get to boots, and I'm thinking they're going to give me one of them plastic bags at the handles and chuck it on the pram, whatever. I get there, they give me a cardboard box this big. And I'm like, if I went to a cardboard box, got two kids, I'm like, what? We're going to march through an airport with a box? So I was like, oh, could I have a bag, please? They were like, I'll help yourself. They were really rude. These bags were this big. So I'm there in boots, unpacking this order, sweat dripping everywhere, these fucking nappies. It was really stressful. Anyway, luckily I had a bit of room in my hand luggage, so I managed to split some bits, but just not ideal. So I wouldn't say it.
I've got to be honest, when I saw that you did that, it did stress me out.
Just you don't. I retract.
Yeah,
I paid to admit it was right.
I just feel like I'd rather just know I have everything.
Yeah,
I don't want that stress at the airport.
I am the little guinea pig, so I've done that. Now don't do that.
It's fine. I'm never going to be going away with my kids on my own. So you be the guinea pig. I will not be following.
To be the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting on the plane was absolutely awful.
Absolutely.
It was really shit. Milo decided that he had to be attached to me.
Cool.
So I'm there trying to carry everything, and he's too little to carry. I'd packed their that's quite heavy. It's fucking scary. So Theo was at the bottom of the step trying to get up, and Rhino just at the top welcome on board. Fucking C was struggling up the steps. I've got Milo literally under my arm like a surfboard, and I'm trying to carry everything, and they're like, welcome on board.
No one helped you.
No one helped me.
That's so bad.
Anyway, whilst we were on the plane, it was fine. I had my little wash bag hack. Honestly, not to blow my own trumpet, it saved my life, the flight. The kids loved it because you're not going back down to the bags every time. Everything is there. They were really excited to be on the plane. They honestly, the stickers, the colouring, the the superheroes, you're sitting there
You're like, I'm a boss bitch.
And like the woman's behind me is going, at the end of the flight, I just want to say how beautifully you behaved your children were. And I was like,
Thank you.
But they're brilliant on the flight. Theo had his little ear things in because he does get bad ears. Milo was hilarious. We had quite like a bumpy landing in, like, you know, when you see people like sit back in their seats, like, oh, like this feels funny. And you can see people's face going, Milo's there going, wee, wee. I got the cutest video after, so it was really, really cute. And then getting off the other side again, that is the stressful bit. You're walking through like a giant airport, and this was the hard bit. Like, you could really do with your pram, like trying to get through the airport and trying to encourage Milo to walk. And in my head, I just took the pressure off and was like, we'll walk as slow as we need to walk. Like, and they were quite cute. They were holding hands and
adorable. I'd be like, adorable, run.
And everyone had told me how awful Palmer security was, like how there were mad queues. And we got there, it was empty. So that how we managed that, we were straight through it, and it was really stress-free. I had a transfer booked with Holiday Extras. They sorted it all out. Like, it was so seamless. They even had a car seat for Milo and a booster seat from Theo, which I feel like when you're abroad, you don't really get. So that was really good. The actual holiday, like, I had a really bad experience when we got there. So obviously I was on my own. I had like this giant suitcase, everything. And no one helped me to my room. And I said, could someone help me to my room, please?
I'd never heard of anything.
Isn't it insane?
In my life.
And they were like, we don't have a porter service. I was like, could one of you maybe help me? I said, I'm a single parent. No, sorry, we can't. So I was like livid at this point.
Sorry.
So they'd watch me going back and forward to my room, traipsing my two children with me the whole time. And you know when you're just like, oh, this is like a really bad first impression. I'm just like, anyway, the room was lovely. We had a really nice view over the pool, but I was really, really fucking livid that first day because I was like, how dare you not help me? Like, it's hard, like...
I think that's disgusting.
It is disgusting. When I got an email that night, like, checking in on how I was like, well, actually...
I'd be making a massive formal complaint.
So anyway, that happened. I might email them now.
I would.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, the actual hotel was amazing for the kids. Like, the pool was great. The only thing I would say, like, compared to the hotel I stayed at in Tenerife, like, that was a much bigger kids pool that was really like a really nice depth that the kids could play around more in. Like, one thing I never understand with these hotels that are aimed at kids, why do they have these giant fucking buckets that tip over and scare the living shit out of everyone? Because it happened on the first day. They like emptied on Milo's head and he was forever traumatized. And then they didn't go in like the big kids pool, and the only pool they went in was like this probably 2 meter by 2 meter circle the holiday. So I felt like the pool and like they had like better splash stuff at the hotel in Tenerife. But the entertainment was great for the kids. Yeah, I really pushed myself out my comfort zone this year. Like, we went out the hotel nearly every evening. I got fed up of buffet food, so I did quite a lot of meals out. And on the last night, I was like, I'm taking them to a nice restaurant. And I was like, this could either go awful or it was be a great decision. And I really selfishly, I picked a sushi restaurant because I was craving it so badly. They were stunning. Like, you know, when you sit back, and I felt really emotional, just like, I'm so proud of them because I know they're doing this for me. Like, I know they know. Like, we've had a little chat before, and I was like, you know, if we sit and behave nicely. And stupidly, I only took their tablets out with me on the last 2 days of holidays for meals. Why didn't I do that earlier? I think I was trying to prove a point to myself. I don't need to prove a point to myself. Every fucking kid in the hotel, also, take the guilt away, every single child in the hotel I stayed in during all meals had tablets out. There's no guilt.
I always do that on holiday.
I don't know why I hadn't thought. I think because naturally we don't use the tablets at home.
No,
I
either.
don't. So it wasn't like a grab the tablet. Like, it was like, oh, and then when I took them out for breakfast in the morning, I'd taken them with, and I was like, hang on a minute, and they were brilliant. One thing I will say is, like, I remember last year going on this holiday and being really conscious and wary that I was in a family hotel, and being really conscious of these 2-parent families, because it's 95%, actually probably higher, percent families away. And I remember last year feeling this enormous sadness and, I don't know, looking around slightly envious. And I remember I found that element quite hard. And I don't know, I think it shows to me how much work I've done the last year and how much I've healed. But instead of like looking around and being like, oh, I wish like I had a 2-parent home, I looked around and felt really fucking empowered that I was giving my kids exactly that doing it on my own, but also like not to be like negative, but looking around and thinking, I know they might be here as a family, but so many of them probably aren't happy. And knowing what we know, I can't help but thinking like,
he's a red flag.
he's not into her. Like this.
Oh, where's his wedding ring?
He's watching like at dinners. Like I am a people watcher. I do like watching, but watching couples literally not even remotely communicating, sitting on their own phones and things. I'm like, actually, what I've got right now is so much better than any of that. And I know one day, like me and my boyfriend will get to a point where we all go on a big family holiday, and I will have that again. But I don't know. I was just very wary of how.
Well, you were self-reflecting on like the difference.
How much I've come on the last year, but how I look at things. And I didn't feel any sadness. I felt empowered to be a single mum. I felt proud to be a single mum. The amount of times I got stopped on my holiday, people in the hotel who, after a few days, you start to clock different people. People had obviously been watching me and noticed like I was on my own.
Yeah.
I got stopped by a lady in the pool and was like, "Oh, are you on the road with the boys?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "If I ever see you, I'll take pictures of you, like naturally, so you can have them." This grandma who was away with, must have been her daughter and her husband and the kids. She was like, "I've been watching you. Like your boys are so beautifully behaved. I hope you know what an amazing job you're doing. Like, I want you to know you're enough." And I got really emotional that day. And then another day, I was like walking down by the beach, and a lady stopped me. She actually follows me on Instagram, and she was like. And I'd been playing with the kids and I was like trying to film some on my phone. She was like, "Go and do exactly what you're doing. Give me your phone. I want to film some natural there's just things like that like mean so much. And don't get me wrong, I'm quite lucky that I'm not afraid to set up a tripod and capture moments like that because I'm used to it now. And for my job, I do capture content. But I encourage any parent, not even just single parents, set up the tripod. Stop worrying about what people think. You capture the most amazing moments. Some of my favourite holiday moments I've captured just from setting it up. And yeah, I'm feeling really bloody positive. I'm excited. This weekend, I'm not gonna lie, I came back and I felt like I needed a holiday. We had quite a difficult flight back. We were delayed. My kids were absolutely horrific in the airport. Like, I don't want people to think, "Oh my God, her kids are beautifully behaved." Like, we were in the airport and I was like, "Please save me." And I was next to these two women. Bless them, they were trying to like help, and they both said to me like, "You're doing an amazing job." Do you know who I saw at my flat home? Zara McDermott.
Oh, really?
Fucking beautiful she is.
I mean, you can tell.
No, even better.
Really?
When you're like, "Oh, did they like stunning?" Just fucking stunning. I could stop staring at her. Anyway, yeah, the kids were awful. Until we got on the plane. As soon as they were on the plane, Milo was asleep before we took off. And Theo, they both slept for an hour and then they were on their tablets. And then brilliant. And then I got off the plane and I saw the prams by the steps. And I thought, I don't know if they've taken them, but I'm taking mine now. And it saved me. So yeah, that was really, really good. Yeah, I'm in a positive headspace. I go to Venice this next weekend.
How nice. I'd love to go to Venice one day.
Yeah. Just
love that.
Venice is on my vision board. So it's like another thing to tick off. So.
It's nice when you get something to tick off. Like Disney was on mine.
Yeah. It's a really good feeling. So yeah. And my holiday with the boys was on this. I feel like, I don't know, yeah, coming back, I've been so motivated this week. I've been in such a good headspace. I'm like feeling this like empowerment. I'm kind of trying to ride with it. Like I've got so many ideas. And I'm just like,
yeah, no, I get that. How am I? I'm good. I wanted to share something that happened. It was while you were away. And I received some news that I'm not going to share because it's not my news to share. But what I do want to share is my experience with it and how it's changed my situation. So I found something out which I thought would ruin me. I honestly thought this news would floor me, would completely shatter all the healing that I'd done. It would set me all the way back. And what I really want to share with people is sometimes it's the anxiety of something happening is so much worse than the reality. And sometimes I think when we have people emailing in saying like, "What if this happens with my ex?" or "What if that happens with my partner?" And we always say like, try not to worry about something that hasn't happened yet because you don't know how you're going to feel once it happens. There's no point worrying about something twice.
No, my mum
but
says that.
This experience did leave me like on the floor, But less than 48 hours later, I picked myself back up. And the change that I have seen in how I've taken this on, used it as an advantage, it pushed me 10 steps back and it's then put me 20 steps forward. And that in itself has made me feel so proud and empowered, because it's shown me what work I have done in the last 4 or 5 months. Because had I found this out a few months ago, it would have been a very different ball game. And I just feel like I want to really reassure people that sometimes what you think is going to be the worst thing ever ends up actually being the best thing ever, because this experience has opened my eyes slightly more to my situation, allowed me to see things in a much clearer light.
I think it's allowed you to stop romanticizing things.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I've really noticed that I'm very good at giving advice. I know a lot of us are good at giving the advice and not very good at taking it. And I think I have this habit of romanticizing situations, some of which never even existed, putting people on pedestals that they don't need to be on. And I feel like this experience has almost been like a catalyst of allowing me to just let go of any hope I held on to. And it's pushed me forward even more. And I think I needed this to happen for me to really, really get to that last bit of my healing journey.
I can tell the difference in you. Obviously, I remember the voice note you sent me, and that was a week. It
was a week and a half ago.
And compared to now,
yes,
how I do. I sent it to you before we came onto this. I do think it's the best thing that could have happened to you.
Yeah, and I just feel like, I just want people to know that. I know it's easily said, but try not to consume yourself with worrying about things that haven't happened yet, because hand on heart, I did think that this would be the end of me. And if anything, it's opened my eyes into just a much better situation. So yeah, I'm just generally feeling really positive. I'm in a really good place mentally. And yeah, I can't believe that we're halfway through the year, and it hasn't been the year that I hoped for, but actually in some ways I've learnt so much about myself.
Done in the last 6 months, so you've still got 6 months of the year left.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I feel like I'm just now really getting to that point where I'm just also being kinder to myself. I can't explain, I feel like a situation with what I've gone through, I would almost be and I did for the first 24 to 48 hours, put the blame on myself, wonder why I wasn't good enough. And I can see how much of a shift I've got in my head of, okay, cool. Well, that problem is not your problem anymore. And look what you've got to offer, and actually speaking kinder to myself. And it makes such a difference. I know I've got so much to offer, I've done so much growth in the last few months that it almost excites me for when I am ready to put myself out there. I'm in such a better place that I'm going to attract so much better. So that's my update. It's been a bumpy ride, but now I feel like
the road is smoother.
Yeah, coming out the other end. So it's refreshing. Sorry guys if I sound a bit croaky, been a bit under the weather. But do you know what? My new motto, could have done without that, but never mind.
Okay, guys, we're getting stuck in with some emails. So hey there, I subscribed to your Patreon. It's been so good so far. Thank you. I wonder if you get a chance, could you read my email below? It's not the usual type of email you read out, but I'm feeling a bit lost at the moment. Okay, let's do it. So, this might be a bit different to your usual ones. Yes, my marriage broke down. My ex was awful and abusive, and I suffered 16 years of on and off mental and emotional abuse from him, mostly fueled by alcohol and drugs and the come downs in between. Can't imagine. He was awful, particularly from the moment I got pregnant with my first daughter. I've never done drugs and I drink responsibly, so Lord knows why I ended up with him. I gave up my career to raise our daughters as we could not afford for me to not work, and both our jobs were very intense and included a lot of travel and long hours. We had a wonderful year around the time when I had my second daughter as he gave up drinking, so the drugs went too. And he was great, but then he started drinking after apparently proving to himself he wasn't an addict, and then it was a slippery slope back to how he was before. He was very successful in his career, and we lived a very comfortable life as a result of this. Just before lockdown, after an extended period of him spiralling into a really bad state and drinking even more and staying out, I confronted him, and he said he wasn't happy and blamed me for everything. Weight, looks, dress sense, etc. It's the blame, always. It's always. Anyway.
And it's all on her appearance. It's vile.
Do you know what I noticed a lot of? Like, I feel like after I had kids, I feel like that's when my ex lost interest in how I looked.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, I looked back at pictures, like not intentionally, just it came up in Time Hop for like a couple of years ago. And I'm not saying I look amazing now, but like I look so much better now. But I saw this video and it says like your health and the way you look actually indicates first that you're in an unhealthy relationship. Like I look at my skin, I look at, I don't know, I think you can tell a lot by how happy someone is by like how they look and like, I don't know, just even like the way I dress. And I just like, I feel like I've had a glow up, not in like an up myself way, but like I'm feeling so much better from within, but also externally as well.
I completely.
And yeah, you do lose yourself after having kids. Like, but there were also a lot of things. Like I always feel really way more comfortable with my hair extensions in. After we had kids, I was told I wasn't allowed extensions because it's selfish for me to spend money on stuff like that. It's things like that that maybe would have kept him more attracted to me. That, yeah. Anyway, all I'm saying is, it's very normal to feel less confident in yourself and the way you look after babies. And if any man ever uses that against you.
I look back at photos of around the time that I separated from my ex-husband. My face was grey.
Yeah.
My hair, as you know, my hair fell out.
Yeah.
I just looked, yeah. Like, I just looked ill, and I'll own it. I feel like I'm having a glow up right now.
Damn fucking
bring it on.
I was looking at pictures.
Break up, glow up.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. I saw another funny thing, and it was like, there's always one person, like in a breakup, there's always one person who has a glow up, and the other person like goes the other way, and I'm like, frog emoji. Anyway, it just annoys me when men use this excuse, like women's bodies change after they've had kids, and we lose ourselves with how to dress as well. I remember feeling completely lost as well because I had these giant bangers like to accommodate, and I wasn't used to that. I didn't know what my style was.
Generally, I feel like it's not.
I feel like now I'm finally finding like my style. I mean, and I enjoy shopping, not just because I enjoy spending. I enjoy like trying to style outfits. I take more pleasure in it. Like I don't know. It's just really nice feeling. Like like looking back, I'm like, maybe we'll post some pictures on our Patreon of our pre-breakup setup. Yeah, should we do that? I feel like that could be quite funny to put in the group. We've been here before, so back to couples therapy we went, where we spent all of our lockdown with him humming and ahhing. It's humming. She wrote humming and ahhing, and this is in February, so she's on my team.
It's obviously an autocorrect.
It's not. About our marriage, I did everything to work things out, and it was horrendous. 3 times he told me things were sorted, only for it to go bad again very soon after. The last time I said in the session, how do we make sure we don't end up here again? He looked me in the eye and said, because we know what to do now and we will be fine and I love you. Then, a few weeks later on Father's Day, he said he was going to leave. And the following Monday, he packed his overnight bag and moved into a hotel in central London, a Swish one, obviously. We live in South London on the border of Surrey, so he wasn't near us. He said he had to be in central London to be near work. It was awful. The girls and I felt totally abandoned. I felt so fooled and traumatised, but the easiest part was getting over him. I'd had the whole of lockdown, 16 months to sort my head out regarding how I felt about him. Anyway, forward 2.5 years, and I have a wonderful partner who I've been with for 2 years. Like you, Carly, I didn't expect to meet anyone, but gave Bumble a go and met my partner, and it's been lovely. We now live together with my 2 daughters, and he has 2 older children who come to stay. We want to be together forever, and we've talked about marriage too, and I'd love to marry him. I have been traumatised, and I have to really pause and calibrate before I react to things, which I do well. I'm very aware of my past. I did a lot of therapy after journaling, freedom course. I did everything. And I'm training to be a therapist myself now. I love my partner, and I really, really do feel very loved, and it is wonderful. He is kind and patient, great with my daughters and my family. I lost my dad on my birthday the year before last, and he was so supportive then. And my mum was diagnosed with cancer nearly a year too, when we lost my dad, and he was great then too. I really feel very, very lucky, and I'm so in love. I have this thing though, where I feel like the belief of love has changed. I can't really articulate it. I look at other couples and I know and yearn for their firm belief that their husbands will be with them forever. You know, that unconditional knowledge. I'm desperate for that beautifully naivety again. I mean, I don't think I even had it before, as I always knew that my husband wasn't right and that maybe our marriage would end. But it wasn't as pertinent as it is now. And now I'm with someone who is so, so different, and I love so much and makes me feel so loved. I just feel like that core belief, and I'm 100% a true romantic, and safe feeling has gone. And I feel like I've been rewired. And when I see my friends and family so secure in their relationships, I think, wow, how are you so secure and so sure of a future when anything can happen? Even typing this, I know it makes no sense. It's like I've lost the dreaminess of being so secure in love, without the insecurity tapping me on the shoulder saying, you know, it's not guaranteed, so don't be fooled. I spoke to my friend who went through similar but hasn't met anyone yet. She agrees with me, but says that she's glad she feels that way because she said it will make her sure not to take marriage or a partner for granted ever again, and to constantly work at a relationship. I mean, I constantly worked at my marriage, literally every day. I still don't feel like I've articulated this properly. I know all the live in the moment stuff because who knows what's around the corner, etc. But that's also reaffirming what I feel. Please tell me this is normal and it's just something I have to accept. I really am happy. I don't have avoidant attachment or anything like that. I'm very much aware I'm an anxious attachment person who really tries to correct things by pausing and behaving securely so as not to have awful knee-jerk reactions to things. It just sucks being so hyper-aware now. I want the ignorant bliss back. I hope this makes sense and doesn't contain too many typos. Lots of love, and thank you for your work you're doing. It makes people feel less alone. I really understand this, you know. I think anyone who goes into marriage, generally, for the most part, believes it's forever. And I think when things happen that you sometimes like step back and look and think, wow, is this my life? This is not what I ever anticipated. Like, I know when I got married, I signed up for forever, and I relate to this in part of like, I love my partner so much, and we've spoken about the same things, and I can see a future with him, and he makes me feel safe. He gives me those things I need, but I still have this thing like, I can't explain it, but I feel like I had my chance at happiness. So like something might go wrong this time because it's too good to be true. And it's this feeling that knowing it can be taken away at any moment is terrifying. I think the thing I want you to focus on is the fact you've been through everything you've been through, and you've been in this secure and safe relationship for 2 years. Think how much progress that is. The fact you've even opened and allowed yourself to love again, like that is a massive amount of progress in a relatively short period of time. And I think this is the case of it being time. I think over time, maybe that feeling will become less. Maybe you'll feel more secure. Like I think over the last few months, how much more secure I feel than I did maybe at the end of last year. Like even the last 6 weeks, like I've had a massive shift in, I don't know if it's because of the reading I'm doing and just being much more aware of things, but I've had a massive shift in like the belief, not in my relationship, but that trust and that safety. And also like just like sometimes I say to him like, you know, like actually I am a catch as well. And it's knowing what I have to offer. And it's not just the sake of I want to be loved, but I want to know that I offer someone that as well. And I do think this is a time thing. I think,
but I also think that, you know, you're saying you look at other people and you want that kind of like blissful, like
ignorant.
Yeah, but part of me thinks that you're in a better place than them. Look, some people may disagree with that, but I think that at the end of the day, like, you don't know what's going to happen. You've got to live in the moment. You need to appreciate it. It's not like you're sitting here self-sabotaging because you're worried it's not going to happen. You can't really, you know, you've been through stuff and
that's valid.
You've gone through a divorce that you didn't think would happen. And as long as it's not stopping you being in a happy relationship, that's when I'd be like, you need to be really proactive and change your thought process, because you're doing this and you're doing that and you're going to ruin this. Like, you're not. And I think, unfortunately, like, you're not naive, and those people are. And I understand that you're sort of like, oh, I want to be naive and think that this is my happily ever after. But just because they think it doesn't mean they're going to get it.
But I also think as well, like you did say, like, you put in a lot of work the first time. I think you've also got to remember it was just the right work with the wrong person, and maybe now you have got your person, and it does make you strive to, like, I feel like I'm more conscious about the work it takes in a relationship and how it's two people working together. I feel like, yes, I've lost that naivety, but I'm also more conscious of what it does take to make something work.
Absolutely,
so I feel like
I
that's
agree.
a real positive. So rather than living this naivety that it's never going to happen to me, actually it's allowing me to pour in before anything awful could happen, because we're not going to let it.
It's educated you into knowing what you need to do
to make
it work. And I've got a little quote on my vision board, which literally, like, I will live by, like, this is what I want, and I'm seeking, like, that grow together type love.
100%.
And I never had that. That's what I strive for. And I actually think that sometimes going through the sort of stuff that we've been through allows you to understand of, like, what work you need to do on your own, what work you need to do together to have a really good, solid relationship, because these relationships don't just fall in your lap and then you live happily ever after. That's the blissful, naive thought of it. It does take work. It does take, you know, growing and learning, and try and maybe twist this around and see it as a positive. Like, use it as a positive that you've been through this. So now you know what not to do and what you need to do to make the relationship, that what sounds like a really great relationship, continue to work and grow.
It's made me so much more aware of how I communicate. Like, I can't even tell you, like, and I've seen, like, I do feel like we're both growing together at the moment. It's a really nice feeling. I've never been so vulnerable in terms of, like, how I'm feeling. Like, I know if I get any kind of anxiety or worry now, I'm not ever scared to be like, this worried, like this worries me. Could I just have some reassurance? Or I know I'm overthinking. This is going through my mind. I don't want to upset you, but I could do with a little help. I've never had that. I've always been made to feel like, well, that's your problem. You feel like that. And I think, but do you know what I mean? And I think as well, that is really refreshing, that you're in a really positive relationship where you're feeling so loved. Absolutely use that and run with it. Like,
yeah, look, do you know what? I think it's so vital to take lessons and learn from previous relationships. I now know, and I'm so confident in myself, that I deal with conflict in a much better way than I used to. I didn't deal with conflict well with my ex-husband. I didn't communicate well with my ex-husband. I lacked the knowledge, and I feel like through everything that I've gone through in the last few months as well, I feel like it's also allowed me to really be really vigilant and aware of when someone is deflecting something on you or taking their own issues and projecting them. I don't know, I just feel like treat it as a gift that you're so aware, and self-awareness and the work that you've done and are doing is only going to better your relationship.
Well, I'm glad I'm not naive anymore. I live in this make-believe world, so make-believe that I believed myself that I romanticized my entire relationship, my marriage, my family. And it wasn't until it was gone that I realised...
Didn't even exist.
No, it never existed. And actually, I'm so glad I've had that reality check and I'm not naive anymore.
That's sort of in a way what I feel like I've had in the recent weeks. It's like, it is that reality check of... like it's so easy to romanticize and like create a narrative in your head that
was never there.
Yeah, I agree. Because we want to believe that's...
As humans, we do naturally go back to like all the positives, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think you should use it.
I agree. This one is called Dilemma. Hi girls, love the podcast. I would love some advice on my current dilemma, please. My son's dad left me out of the blue whilst he was a newborn and 12 weeks before we were due to be married. I later suspected he was cheating with a certain work colleague.
Another one.
Yeah, one of those in a while.
I haven't.
He, on reflection, had grew weirdly close to. Fast forward 2 years and we are now in an okay place and co-parent well most of the time. As it stands, I've kept the family home, which he continues to pay half the mortgage for, all the utility bills, despite everything he put me through. I'm grateful as I couldn't afford to keep a roof over our boy's head realistically without his financial help. Far as I'm aware, my ex is single, lives with his mum, so our current financial situation doesn't ever really get brought up, although I know his support won't last forever, but I'm accepting it whilst it's there and until I can afford to be financially independent, but I appreciate this will take some time to save. This is where the dilemma comes in. I met someone 6 months ago and been steadily getting to know him and recently became official. Yay. My new partner lives over an hour away, so I only get to see him alternate weekends when my son goes to his dad, meaning it's taken longer to develop our relationship, but would like to try and spend more time together. He also asked when he can meet my son so he can come over and be more regularly, and even suggested us going on holidays of 3. I'm unsure how to handle this. When is the right time to introduce a partner? It's not a situation I've been in before, and I don't have any single parents who have been through this to know who I can turn to. My son does and will always come first, and I'm unsure when is the right time to do this. Ultimately, I'm worried to introduce him to someone, for them to come into his life, to only then leave. Any advice on how to handle this would be greatly appreciated. My second dilemma to this is my ex and I agreed we would let each other know before we introduce a new partner out of respect for each other. However, I'm worried he won't want to continue financially supporting me the way he does if I'm with someone who spends time in the house. Yeah. He pretty much pays for, which I would even understand, but without this help, I simply can't afford it on my own as of yet, and I don't want to jeopardise losing mine and my baby's home. I ultimately want to move forward with my life, but understand dating when having children isn't easy, as their happiness needs come first, and just not sure how to approach this. This is a tricky one because I really understand the concerns about the house, because that is really it is really tricky. Putting that aside, I think that only you can really be sure as to when you're ready for someone to meet your child. I think all situations are different. I feel like you've got quite a lot of situations here, like with the house and stuff. It's a really difficult one. I don't want to sit here saying, for it, do it, and then find that, like, you know, your ex stops paying for the house and then you've got to leave, and then you...
I also think what you said, like, so it's been 6 months and you only see him every other weekend. Like, one thing I've learned, like, in my head, obviously, it'd be great if you introduce the kids because you get to see each other more. But what we have really done, and we're 14 months in and we still haven't done it. We're talking about it a lot at the moment, but summer plans are great. Like, it's just so hard finding the right... Now I feel like we're also at the point where we've waited so long that we don't want to fuck it up at the last minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, suddenly rush the last bit and get it wrong. Like, so, like, our way of doing it, and again, it's not for everyone. I know people have introduced it much earlier and it's been fine, but this is what worked for us. Our situation, we both had kids. He's got a couple of kids who are older, and therefore I feel like it's easier to introduce younger kids. I feel like I'm less, not that I'm worried, I'm not worried about my kids. I've been more aware of my kids because of how they've handled the whole situation with their dad. But I feel like his kids, 2 of them, are at ages where it could be
harder to accept
and have more emotion around it. And I think we've been so aware of that. And do you know what? I find it really attractive that he cares so much about that. That for me gives me massive green flags that he prioritizes his children, and that is what I could want in a partner. Like for me, the fact he's not just putting himself first and children come last. I know as well where this is going to impact your situation. I don't see the harm in like just being, I'm not quite ready for that yet. I'd rather see how we go, because again, like we wanted to build a strong foundation to know we were really strong, because we both knew we had trauma and shit of our own we needed to heal through. But I wanted my kids to come into a situation where this is solid, and this is like, I only ever intend for them to meet one person. And you know, I think for us, we were both on the same page that we wanted to be this solid thing that wasn't going to go away, and we were both going into it together. So when the kids do meet, or we meet the kids, that we're this solid team, and like however long that takes for them to adapt, we're there to support each other and support them. And like just my personal advice, and obviously it's different for everyone, is like, especially with your situation with the house, I would be thinking smart. Try not to get caught up in this like love, exciting prospect of love and this being your person, because you don't know how it might go.
I think it is actually also really difficult that you only see each other every other weekend, because 6 months,
it's not that long.
What I would say is 6 months of every other weekend isn't that long. I'm not for a second saying that a 6 month relationship can't be strong and the feelings and everything is there, but I feel like until you're at that point where you're like, this is my person, like I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life with them, with the added stress of the house, I would maybe put it off for a bit, and almost also see if like there's opportunities to maybe, I guess if you only,
but ask for help with family. Like I'm quite lucky that we've always seen each other at least once a week, if not more.
Seeing someone every other weekend, it's really hard to like know them. You know what I mean? I can't explain. Like, although mine were introduced after 4 months, we saw each other about 3 to 4 times a week because he lived close. I feel like we built that.
Live close, but we see each other at least 2 times a week now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be worth waiting for a bit.
But they've got another bit of the email, right?
Oh yeah, hold on. She sent an update. So that email that I just read out was sent in June, and this was sent the other day. Oh, this was sent yesterday.
Okay.
Should I give it a look? Okay. Ladies, a little update for you. My son's dad has rearranged his weekends, meaning he was going 3 weekends without seeing our son. To me, that's unacceptable, but hey ho, that's on him. But it then meant that I'd be going a month without getting to see my boyfriend. After a lot of consideration, I decided to invite my fella over last weekend. I feel bad because he's like giving all this.
No, but it's a big indicator that every situation is different and her circumstances change.
Yeah, true. I do understand why you've done this, in all fairness, like being able to only see them once a month. How are you ever going to move forward? Or
we also get to the point where we can and we do prioritise our children. But I do also think like this is where I'm like, my boyfriend makes me happy, and being around him more and seeing him more would make me happy. And I want my kids to be around that as well.
I really resonate with that because I felt like that.
Yeah, and you know, I'm so excited for it. We both are, like, we're both very similar in the way we bring up our kids and the experiences we want them to have. And we both love this idea of this crazy, chaotic family. Like, I know it's going to be excited, and my situation just worked that waiting was the best thing for us, and every situation is different.
Yeah. Also, can I also say, he is 2. Like, that's very young.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it's going to have some detrimental effect.
No. I think the ages of the kids involved also is a big influencing factor, if I'm being honest. That's what I mean. Like I've always been like, Milo would literally, I feel like Theo's age, I think as they start to get older, I think different children start to handle things differently, and that's why we've been more sensitive.
We had a day out watching the planes take off and land, and we all had the best day. My son absolutely loved my boyfriend, kept going to him for cuddles, and having generally the biggest smile on his face. I decided not to tell my ex, which I felt guilty for, as we had said we would, but I didn't want to put my life on hold because my ex has decided to not have his son. Yesterday I found out the reason my ex hasn't been having him is because he's gone away on an abroad holiday without telling me. Good job I've not needed him during this time. But the biggest shock of all is I found out he's gone away with the home wrecker he left me for. I'm glad you haven't told him. After never admitting to cheating, he's still with her 2 years on. He doesn't know I know, and to be honest, he clearly has no respect for me, so I'm not going to bring it up with him, as I know this won't get me anywhere. Also, it now has me thinking she would have definitely met my son if they'd been together 2 years. So now I'm glad, even more so, I decided to put myself first for a change and introduce my son to my boyfriend. Bring on the day I can be financially independent and don't need him for anything. Also, he's still paying for what was our house, and I know my name will likely be a sensitive subject in their relationship. Lol. Oh, your name is always a sensitive subject in someone's relationship. Eh? Do you know what? I think do you. Like, he's met your son. Do it as gradual or as much as you want. Put yourself first. He's not putting himself. He's not putting your son first. He's gone hard to
when you don't have that mutual respect. I think sometimes, like, what's the word? Someone in the relationship always has to, like, lay down. Like for me, obviously the way
foundation.
Well, no, not even that. But like, so the way that my kids were introduced and the amount of notice I got, 10 minutes. You know, when I finally do introduce my boyfriend, I'm just going to give him exactly the same as what he gave me. You know, I'm not going to go out my way. Like, he will get 10 minutes notice, and that's that, because that's, you know, I'm not trying to be tit for tat, but I just think there's a certain level of respect. That was always something we had spoken about, and he knew I was really sensitive towards. I don't know, I just find things like this, it really makes me sad, like when people do things behind your back. I don't know whether
it's like we've said before,
your expectations.
It's like
I've been
you've got to set them
so much better at that this week. I can't even remember what happened. There was something, and I was like, yeah, but my expectation was, oh, that was it. Someone asked me on my Instagram, oh, did your ex thank you for you making the kids get him a Father's Day card and presents? I was like, no, but I didn't have the expectation he would, so therefore I wasn't annoyed or disappointed. I didn't expect to. So yeah, I think you just get to the point where you just pitch your expectations way more realistic.
And you know what? You now know that, like, you're not going to feel guilty for not telling him because he's done the same. You get to keep the house at the moment he's paying for, which means you've got a roof over yours and your son's head. You're happy with your new boyfriend who gets on really well with your baby. Go with it.
But he's not even seeing your kid that much anymore. Like,
exactly.
I think it's really sad when people are in these relationships and they just put the new person first, because I do think if those relationships don't work out, they're going to look back and the amount of time they've lost with their kids it is really sad.
The only person that's going to
100, and you can't make someone see that if they don't want to open their eyes.
Going to go in with a confession of the week. We've got some really good ones.
We've got some amazing ones coming up, guys. You're going to want to stay tuned. Okay, you ready? I screamed through this one's clash because I didn't lose it. My ex had a micro penis and he cried when we first had sex, and he told me it shrunk when he took steroids previously, but I call bullshit. Years on, I still work with his older brother, both tall boys over 6 foot, and constantly find myself looking at his crotch area, wondering if he has the same endowment issues. Sorry for the DM, too long for the box. I don't know if that's a confession. Kind of is. But it made me laugh.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. What would you do if, like, you were on a date with someone, like, everything's going so well, and then he's got the smallest willy ever? I'd be really sad.
You would be sad.
I'd be so sad.
I think it's probably like a certain size where it's just...
She called it micro.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But it's definitely like a small willy.
Is that mic?
I don't know. Try to see, Google what is classified as a micro penis.
What would you do?
There must be a certain size. What is classified? Okay, here we go. A micro penis is a penis under 7 centimeters.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But I wonder if it's
Yeah, width is very important.
usually it is a rare condition, usually diagnosed at birth and caused by hormonal deficiencies. Didn't know that. It's actually good. Now I feel bad for them. It's a medical term used to describe a penis that's much smaller than average.
Oh, sorry, micro man. Anyway, let's do an affirmation of the week. Affirmative. I need a big penis. Please make sure my next boyfriend has a lovely, juicy cock.
Right. For fuck's sake, man. No, we're going to do an actual affirmation that's not about penises.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need a cock. Had enough of those in my life.
Worried about you right now.
You're really deprived, aren't you?
I've actually been fine.
God bless love, honey.
Thank you very much.
I attract people in my life
Who are emotionally available
and
willing to grow.
with me and on their own.
A to the fucking...
And they exist, guys.
They do exist. We don't want these half-hearted men that don't know how to do the work.
Oh, no.
Not for me. It's an ick.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Anyway, love you guys.
Love you, bye.